Hey there, everybody. This is Heather Freeman with The Painted Playground, and we are painting some flowers on a beautiful tree. So thanks for joining me. I'm Heather Freeman, if you haven't met me yet, and I get to help women make time for playing with paints. So, so glad you're here, and I'm just starting out. I've got my canvas first layers on, and working with a blue and some white to layer on for a background. If you didn't catch it earlier last week, I often start my canvases with multiple layers. I really like to let loose and play, and so that's what I do with my first few layers. And so this canvas has been layered up, and this is how we're starting out with this particular tree that we're doing this morning. And I'm working with a small square brush is how we're going to lay in our tree, and I've got some burnt umber, and I just want to show you how it's done. So I'm going to take it, and I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I'm going to use the tip of it, and just to get that first line in, that first big swoosh for our big tree branch. So I'm just getting some paint on my brush, and I'm going to hold my brush farther up. I don't want to hold it way down here. That might be your natural tendency, is to hold it way down here because you feel like you have more control. But to get a more painterly look with your paints, or your painting, you really want to hold it up farther from the ferrule, which is this part right here. And it just allows you to loosen up and to really just paint more freely. And that's what it's all about. We want to have fun with our paints. We want to let go of perfectionism. And so I'm just going to lay that first branch in, and it's just a nice big swoosh. And I was using my whole arm, so I'm not here and I'm not like, ooh, trying to get that in, trying to get that in. It's a nice big swoosh. I'm holding it farther back. I've got my paintbrush was plenty loaded, and how I do that is I dip my paintbrush into the paint and I kind of pull it into the paintbrush. Then I flip it over and I pull some more paint in. And that helps to get the paint inside the paintbrush, so it's nice and full. If you find that it's dripping too full, then you can just take it and pull it on the edge. I'm using an enamel paint palette. Paper plates work great. Plastic lids work great. So whatever you have around, you can use for painting. Let's see, let's add another branch down there. And how about one right in here? And then let's say one right there. And then we can go back and we can thicken up that branch, just like you'd see in nature. It's thicker at the base, or where it comes into the trunk of the tree. I'm just going to thicken these up just a little bit. You can play with this as much as you want. And then starting from the branch and going out and lifting helps give it that natural look of when you go outside and you look at the trees. They naturally branch out from the main trunk, right? And then those big trunks start out thicker, and then those little twigs come out from each branch. So this is giving it that natural look versus like coming in from up here and pulling it in to the branch. We're kind of doing what comes natural to trees. To create our branches. All right. So when you're watching, tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to say hello. There we go. All right. And maybe we'll add a couple little baby twigs. there, one right there. We want some twigs to play with so we can put our flowers onto our twigs. Maybe I'll do one right there. And how about right there? Fill this up with some beautiful flowers. All right, I think I'm liking the shape of that. So I'm going to, I always have a big jug of water out so I can rinse my brushes. One little trick you can use so that you don't have to keep, cleaning this out, making runs to the sink and getting clean water in here, is that instead of taking your paintbrush after you've painted and dipping it right into the water, if you take it, I learned this from a friend recently, if you take it and you pull all the paint off first onto a rag or onto a paper towel, and then go into your water and do your nice rinse out, that water is going to stay fresher longer, because eventually that water, it could become too dirty, and then if I wanted to dip into the white, some of that color from the water is going to get into my white, and you're just going to lose that fresh tint of whatever color that you pick up next. So now I'm going to switch over. I've been using my small square brush. If you're just joining me, we're painting a beautiful tree with some blossoms, some flower blossoms, and I started out using my square brush and painting on our big tree branches. And next we're going to take our pointed paintbrush. So I've got a medium pointed paintbrush here, and this one is going to allow me to make my petals. So I've got, I'm running low on my pink, and I've got an order in for some more, but there might be a delay in that getting here. And so I've got my red. I'm going to mix a little pink. I've got some red put down and some white, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that red and pull in just a touch of the white. See where it takes me, and if I want, I'm going to add some more white to make it a lighter pink, which I think I will. I'm going to pull a little bit more in, mix it around. That's beautiful. So of course, the more white I add, the lighter that pink is going to get. And I'm going to go ahead and pull in some of that red and not even rinse my paintbrush, because I want a couple of those colors to come through. So I want that red and that pink. And I'm going to start laying in my flower buds and flowers. So let's do a couple buds. Let's do a bud right there. A bud over here. And these buds are simply, I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm starting with using the tip, and I'm pushing down on the tip and pulling back. So it leaves a little teardrop shape. There we go. And if you go out and look at spring trees, you'll notice those tight little buds all wound up, getting ready to blossom. I'll pull in some of that red. I'm just going to keep adding these little buds wherever it feels like my paintbrush wants to land. I'm using an easel today. I oftentimes would much rather, actually my preference is to paint flat on a surface, so on a table. I just like being able to stand above my art, and I do a lot of mixed media layers, and so it just allows me to kind of have some more play. This feels a little stiff and a little bit too controlled for me to have it up on an easel, but you use whatever works for you. And it works for demonstrating purposes, so that's what I tend to go to when I'm showing people some different techniques. Let's see, let's do another little bud here. There we go. And let's think about some little flowers. So with the flowers, I'm going to do more of the same technique of using the point and pulling down, and I'm just going to kind of go around and make some flowers. So let's do one right here. It's a bigger pull, so you're seeing more of that flower. Because that flower's opened up and is blossoming. Keep on. That one got a little bit of brown in it. That's okay. That's going to happen sometimes, and I can always go back over that at some point with more pink, because that's what's so great about acrylics, is that, you know, I don't think there's any mistakes anyway, but if you feel like you've made a mistake and you want to go back and fix something up, it's so easy to touch it up with acrylics. You really can't go wrong. And I often find I'm going back and touching up because I can be a little impatient and I just want to keep painting, even though something might not be ready, might not be dry. So sometimes I have to go back a few times. My little heater's going off. I want to make sure that that's not going to be too loud. I'm going to go turn that off. You just check out those flowers. So I've got a number of flowers on here. I'm going to keep adding. Pulling that in. Again, it's just little, it's almost like little stars. These are little 5-petal flowers. Just turning and pulling. The big one. All right. So now I'm going to rinse out my paintbrush, and I want to add some little details. So I'm going to take that same paintbrush, I'm going to dip it back into my white and add a little center on those flowers. The buds I'm going to leave alone because you can't see those center of the flowers quite yet. I don't know if you're like me. I'm looking forward to spring. I'm looking forward to the change of seasons and all that brings. All right, so let's add in some leaves. Do a few leaves. So I'm using the same paintbrush, and I'm just going to, same technique. Leaf here, a little leaf there. That one just has one. A little bud there. I'm just going to make my way around, add a few leaves that are starting to bud as well. There. Now this tree is really starting to come alive. All right. Maybe one more up here. It's really fun just to play with it and see where the paintbrush takes you, where it wants to go. All right, I think I'm going to keep on adding some flowers, adding some leaves. Let this tree blossom some more. Okay. And if you enjoyed this little tutorial, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I will see you next time at the canvas. All right, bye for now.